Hi everyone. Uh, my name is Mukesh, and I'm part of ColdFusion engineering team and working as a computer scientist. And I have a experience of means I have been associated with ColdFusion team for past 8 years and have a total years of experience of 2 years. I will be giving a presentation on cloud topic, basically the elevate ColdFusion apps with cloud services and as part of association with the ColdFusion team, I have worked in integration with the solar application with ColdFusion cloud service, different types of cloud services like AWS S3, SQS, SNS, GCP storage, uh, and as well as .NET interoperativity integration with ColdFusion part and many others. So we come to the agenda part. The main agenda of this session will be understand the cloud basics and why we need to opt for the cloud native part and what all the service we do support. And then after that we'll go that three different services, basically storage, database, messaging. And then after that we'll come up about the real world demos part. We'll discuss about the real world use cases, and we'll also discuss about like what all the best practices we need to adhere when we are integrating or integrating or interacting with the cloud services. And then we'll come up with a Q&A if you have some sort of question, and so I will help you in answering those questions. So basically, we'll see that about the cloud services overview. So what are services? So services provides an on-demand computing resources. So it helps in building the different type of services, and which helps in enabling the scalability part, flexibility part, and brings out some sort of innovations on that. And the basic the major key services like storage services, or we'll talk about the database services, messaging services, and there are different services being provided by the cloud service. And uh, and uh, there are like multiple vendors. So multiple vendors which supports that different cloud service like AWS, Azure, GCP, and other also are there. So as of now, for the CodeFusion perspective, we have integrated with the three different cloud vendors like AWS, Azure, and GCP. And the main thing of the cloud service, of that pay as you, means basically key features like whatever whatever resources and services you're using depend on that you are really paying, and the serverless. And it's basically call out as the 11 nines, like availability part. So you'll be interacting with multiple networking, storage, computings, and it also support security and different types of messaging and database. And why cloud native? So basically, some questions would become like why we should opt for the cloud native part, like why we should not stick with the traditional monolithic way of like developing the services or hosting the applications. So why we need to opt for the cloud native? So basically, there are like multiple features, and features are there. Because of that, we should opt for the cloud native, like scalability part, deployment speed, and the cost model, resilience, and portability, and the maintenance, where we find that very sharp and key differences. Because of that, we opt for that. Like in terms of scalability, we can deploy different types of microservices on this highly scalable manner. Based on the request, we can scale up the different replica of services, and we can able to but in terms of monolithic, like always, like vertical scaling is there, very limited, and you need to decide on the infront upfront itself, like we're developing the applications. And deployment is like very easy, it's very fast, automated, frequent one. And in contrast of like traditional, you will be having a lot of manual effort to maintain and develop the applications. And as well as like in cost models, like if you are very efficient like managing it in, then you need to very efficient you need to know about in terms of like if you're developing in the monolithic. But in cloud native, like based on that usage part, you will be paying on that. And in terms of resilience, it's kind of like self-healing. Like if some sort of like services goes down, it will auto heal and it will self-heal and like bring up the services. But if some point in contrast, like in monolithic, if some failures comes in one of the services, very difficult, and it can crash the application as well as. And portability, you can run anywhere, like any of the cloud vendors, and then after that like cloud, hybrid, on premise, whatever the microservice is your time. But if you are in traditional, it will tie to some sort of infrastructure. And in terms of maintenance also, like it's very easier, like cloud vendors like provides automatic updates, like but in monolithic, like it will be always a complex and some sort of like downtime will be there. So, coming to the cloud supported ColdFusion cloud supported services and functionality. So, as I said earlier, like we do support like major key partners like cloud vendors like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So in AWS, we do support different services like AWS S3 for storage, DynamoDB for NoSQL database, SNS for the notification part, and SQS for the queuing for the event. And when it comes to the Azure, we do support Azure Blob and the service was for queuing. And recently, we have also supported the Google Cloud in past days, the GCP storage part, and Firestore for NoSQL, and the PubSub for notification. So yeah, why we should integrate the cloud service ColdFusion? As I said, like the benefits of the cloud service earlier, like as a industry like moving towards cloud and deploying all of the microservices and application on the cloud. And like it also provides like a consistent code base, like you can deploy in any of the cloud vendors, and based on the need it manages scale, and it brings out the rapid development part and integrations with minimal line of code with the ColdFusion. And and since in like we also do provide like multi-cloud options, so most of the major functions like we do support with the ColdFusion, so we can easily port the code from one vendor to another vendor. So it's not like we'll have a vendor locking. So when it comes to the we'll discuss about the storage part. So about the cloud storage with ColdFusion. So what's the cloud storage? So anything you want to store in the cloud in forms of like file, images, backups, anything else, you'll opt for the cloud storage. And the basic key concept of cloud storage is like bucket and container. Uh, and and in object, so bucket and container is like logical unit where you are uh, storing the uh, creating a container where you are uploading some sort of file, images, chips, or which is required for like whenever you require for the applications. And the functionality, we do support the cloud operations, access control, like what access control you want to give to the users for uploading, downloading part. And versioning is kind of like you can, if you're uploading same file, you want to define that versioning, like 1, 2, or 3, or want to access the previous one, so kind of history thing. And life cycle process, like it also allows like when you want to delete that object you have created, or you want to uh, move that object to a different classes. So the higher availability classes like will charge more, and the lower availability classes like will charge less. So you can maintain that life cycle policies. So this is one sample image I put out for the AWS 3. Like AWS 3, you already create multiple buckets. You can create multiple buckets based on the uses. Uh, and in buckets, you can upload different types of object in the form of, as I said, object in the form of file, images, anything, documents, videos. And based on the uses, you can access those objects through the bucket and use in the applications. And there is no condition that you have so many of the objects. So it managed by the cloud vendors. And when it comes to the comparison part, like we should also should know about like comparison of uh, uh, which based on the usage, we need to show that what cloud storage we need to opt for what various functionality. If you're opting for aws 3, means your, so why we need to opt for that, or gcs. So there are key differences of that, and key differences lies in like storage classes, minimum storage duration. So they are different functionality. I mean, they are differ in minimal way, uh, how they are providing the data encryption, access control, geo redundancy part, and the common use cases part. So if you see the storage classes, I think the aws s3 provides like six storage classes. Based on that, data moves from one classes to another classes, or you can define the life cycle. According to that, it will move the data. And gcs, like they provide four data classes and storage classes: standard, nearline, code line, and archiving is like very old data you're moving. And you want to miss, very rarely you want to retrieve the data from uh, and in azure, like hot, cool, archive. So there are different naming convention given by the different cloud vendors. And they also define that different the duration for the classes, like 30 days, 90 days for glacier, 180 days for the glacier dip. So after, so this is like days is like uh, once the once no one is accessing within 30 days, it will move to a glacier and the other one. So as like that, so it follows the some sort of life cycle process, it moved the data around. And different type of encryptions they provide, like ssc kms or client side. And in google, like google, they manage by default, and they also provide csk and client side. So similar to in access control, how you want to define the policies, how you want to uh, provide the ownership to the bucket, and who can able to access that, and how much control will be there. So that kind of may be maintained through the access control. And if you come to the common use cases, like it was used for, is based common uses case, like it used for the backup and web hosting in kind of big data or ml data. When it comes to gcs, it's mostly for the analytics, ml training, archiving a website content. And azure blob storage, it's like media storage, backups, and long time archive. So we need so we'll see that what are the different functionality storage provide. So like creating and manage means, basically you can create as many as buckets, and you can upload multiple objects and manage over there. Then you can perform the core operations, like creating crud operations, like creating, deleting, upload as many as objects over there, and you can list it, delete it. And as well as like you can define the policies, like who can able to access it, who can upload it, who can download it from the bucket. And the features is like you can also upload multiple files in a bulk. And so also, like there are multiple buckets. If you want to copy in between or move the object from one bucket to another bucket, you can do that. As well as like supports are taken example, if you're uploading the same image uh, uh, after refining or fine tuning the images and uploading the images. So if you want to maintain the version history, they do through the versioning. And you can, as I said, like you can define the lifecycle rules so that uh, the object, the bucket transition happen between the different classes, storage classes. And as well as like if once you uploading the object, you can also tag that object with a different type of metadata key, so that while querying that data, or you want to query the data based on the some sort of parameter, what data is that for. So you can tag that, and it will help in like querying, and based on the querying you can do any operations on that. And yeah, you can define the proper permission, means they provide a proper permission and encryption while transferring the data. And as well as like you can upload and download the files, so like it improves the performance when you're doing in the parallel operations. So this is a sample code which I have showed to you, like how you can call from the ColdFusion and create a S3 object, and able to connect to the ColdFusion basically it will S3, and then after that you can perform any operations like taken for these examples, like I can upload the photos. Photo is a bucket, and where you are uploading an image.jpg into the photos bucket. So when you are referring uh, when you are pointing to a bucket, you can retrieve that image.jpg. So this is a photo bucket, means there can you miss in e-commerce application you have, you can have a like a bucket called order bucket or something, so where you can upload the invoices also. So those examples you can perform that. So coming to the database, cloud database, the ColdFusion. So first we know that what's the NoSQL database. So it's basically it provides a flexible and scalable real-time document storage. So basically, if you are not sure about the schema part, or you know for sure that the things are not constrained in one manner, and you need to have always a collection of data will get added in the uh, storage, means in the databases for the applications, so you will prefer for the NoSQL one. And as of now, for we do support AWS DynamoDB for value store, and for GCP Firestore we support for because of the document based with real-time sync. So for GCP Firestore, if you see the structure, like first is the collection. In the collections, you can create a document. Document is kind of like table if you compare with the RDMS. And in document, you can have like multiple sub collections. Sub collections, you can use the collections also. So you can store it. So it gives you some sort of like flexibility if you compare with the RDMS, so that you can store as many as data in the database. Coming to the database functionality, so you can define and manage the collections. You can perform the all CRUD operation on the document. Then after that, you can query with the filtering capabilities, like some sort of in the schema you provide is uh, have an attribute, and then after that you can provide a filter, and then you can execute the queries. As well as like they also give an option of like secondary indexation for the flexible queries, and they have an also option for querying and scan operations for the faster data retrieval part. And you can perform any sorting and limit results with real-time data synchronization, as well as like for batch write operations and transaction. So we need to also sure like when we are picking the database, why we need to pick that. This is a one use cases, basically of use cases I have provided, why we need to opt for DynamoDB or the Firestore. So for DynamoDB, if you want like basically best fit for like how throughput or low latency for key value access. Like take an example, like if you have a you want to if you're developing some sorting shopping carts, or like maintaining a user sessions, it's really helpful if you are utilizing the DynamoDB. If in the Firestore, basically if you are maintaining some sort of collections, and then after the document and the sub collections part, so then after that if you are following for the best hierarchical process and real time document based storage. And basically examples are like chat applications, the collaborative document editing. So like, so the basic tips, like when you opt for the DynamoDB is basically for the speed and scale, and Firestore for structuring real time. So just sample examples like how you can connect to the AWS Firestore and get a Firestore object. And so in these examples, basically, uh, I'm connecting by providing the credential and config part, and then after that, I get a fast object, and then after that, I creating a collections like student is as a collections. In the student collections, I am storing some sort of struct like a kind like which have a attribute like first name and the entry year, and then after that, we can set the data in the collections. So basically, a document will be means basically you can provide, you can name as a Patrick. Then we'll come back to the we have seen that uh, data storage database, and once we come to the messaging service with ColdFusion, so basically we know why we need to opt for the cloud messaging. Basically, it when we need to opt for the cloud messaging, it when you want to decouple the different type of microservices altogether, different components, and which helps in like enabling the communication between the different distributed services and devices. So like uh, any application send some sort of job or queue or any sort of events to the queue, it will handle it and process it based on that. uh, Once the system is available, then it will fire and trigger to that services. So the basic example means the examples are the messaging service are like AWS, SQS, SNS, Azure Service Bus, or GCP PubSub. So if you see, take an example. So publisher is there. Publisher send some sort of message, and it goes to a topic. Whoever have subscribed means any end users have subscribed, or suppose queue has you have configured a queue to the topic, and then after that you see that you need to trigger that subscription. They do the subscription, and the subscription will send the message to the subscriber. And you can also configure the acknowledgement part, and it goes back to the acknowledgement. And topic, you can also configure to store some sort of notification in the message storage. When coming to messaging functionality, like as I said, like it helps in decoupling the microservices, and which in the distributed micro system and the serverless applications. In AWS, like they provide an option of like two types of queues, like one standard queue and other is like FIFO queue. So standard queues like provide a high throughput, basically asynchronous operations, and option of like providing at least once kind of delivery. In FIFO queue is kind of like first in first out with exactly one processing will be done. So you can define the order how you going to process. So based on that, you can offer the specific queues. And based on the queues, like it enables the synchronous communication between the different components in the Microsoft world, microservice world. And you can define the delivery part, how you want to retain the message in the queue, and then after that, based on the redundancy, you can uh, pass the data to the availability zones. It also supports of like delayed message delivery. So you can yeah, as I said, like you can define the retention period like from 1 minute to 14 days, how much you want to define that. It also support the day later queue, like suppose if any of the third party services goes down and unable to deliver that message to the third party or third party component, other component, then it will the queue will move to that message or event to the dead letter queues. And also supports the message batching for the higher and efficient throughput, and supports different long polling and short polling. And you can also trigger the lambda function for the event driven workflows. And for policies, like they support in AWS like IAM for a fine grained access control, and they provide like whenever you're sending a message, they provide a message encryption at rest in transit. So some examples like why we need to opt for, basically sample examples, like if you want to uh, send a number of means order events. You can utilize that SQS for batch processing, or service for handling the enterprise workflow, and the SNS for the real time order alerts if you want to notify that your order has been delivered, uh, or the vendors has received the order, means some sort of notification you want to do that, you can utilize that SNS part. And uh, so how you can get that SNS object in the ColdFusion, like the Git Cloud Service provides an abstract to connect to a different uh, cloud vendors and their services. And in AWS credential, you can provide the AWS key and the config. You can define which services basically in this one. Since I'm using for the order alerts, so you can define the config service name as a SNS, and then after that you can get a SNS object, and you can publish the message for the order events. Like topic will be order, and the message you want to process, like, oh okay, this is shipped, or you want to communicate to the customer that this is order is delayed. Same example for the GCP pub sub. You can create a topic with alerts, and you can publish the message. So this is like overall miss what we have discussed as of now for the uh, overview of like cloud storage, a database, and then after the queuing part. So if we need to get started with the cold fusion, what all details or what all prerequisites required for to connect to the cloud vendors. So basically, you need to install the relevant cloud packages, and then after that, if you are using the AWS, you need to have that access key and secret key in order to connect that. In Azure, you require the connection strings, and GCP provides the credentialization so that you can able to connect to their cloud services. Then after that, once you got that, you can able to set up the credentials and alias in the ColdFusion administrator, and then after that you can able to call the or means perform the operation on the cloud vendors for their services. So you need to navigate to the uh, ColdFusion administrator pages. You can download these packages based on your uses, or you can from the CLI support you can install through a CFPM part, and you can install it, and then after that you can connect to that. So if you want trying to connect to the through for the GCP, this is a syntax like you can provide the JSON part, and you can provide a alias. If you're providing alias, it helps. Suppose if you're providing alias, you can utilize the alias when you are calling the Get Cloud services, and then you can provide the service name. Suppose I am utilizing using the storage service, you can define the storage service, and you can provide the alias GCP con. uh, Coming to the demo, so demo so basically uh, I have created a simple demo utilizing the different services like AWS S3, SQS, and SNS, and the AWS DynamoDB. And the main purpose of showing this demo that utilizing different type of cloud services, so how you can upload that any images or ppt slides into AWS S3. Then after that, once you upload that, uh, you can trigger a notification through the queue, and through the AWS SQ you can also extract the metadata information and upload it to the queue part. And then after that, if you want to store any sort of information when the user had logged into the applications, you can store that those information into DynamoDB. And if you want to post that notification, you can utilize that AWS SNS. You can uh, get the details from the DynamoDB when the customer is using the applications. So since the next event of ColdFusion is like the big event is like CF Summit 2025, so I created some sort of small app, the demo app similar to that. And I will explain the small demo I have created, the similar examples like uh, how the architecture of like app. So basically the app will be like users connects to the applications where in the ColdFusion is deployed, and then after that he do a registration. He do a registration for the event, and once he submits the details of the all the event details, or he submits his profile details in the app itself. Then after that, I get all the metadata information. I will store in the AWS S3. Then after that, I'll as well as sorry, I will store the images or PPT slides in the AWS S3, and I will store the metadata informations, all the information in the AWS Dynamo for future references. And then as well as I will trigger a trigger or event based on their usage. So suppose I can trigger a event that registration is done. So it will give post to the SQS queue, and from the SQS queue, once you see that event is like registration done, you can trigger a notification to the end customer based on the endpoint they have configured. Suppose during in the app itself, if they have then the notification, how they want to get a notify. If you want to get a notify through the email, SMS, or other other way. So once I get that preference list, and since I have stored in the AWS DynamoDB, from the notification, once it get received that the event, it saw that okay, we need to send a message to the endpoints. Then it get fetch the details from the DynamoDB and send the notification to the email. I have shown here email as a notification, but you can do the phone notification as a SMS, or other one you can trigger a Lambda or something event based on that. So first I saw the screenshot, the flow part, and then after that we'll go to the demo app. So once they have opt for that notification, how the notification should go, like email notification. So once they do that opt-in for the email notification, so they will get a this kind of notification that you have opted for this event. And then once they click on the confirmation subscription event, they will get if the confirmation subscription confirmed for the future. Any notification confirm the event manager that. So once the event manager they want to send any message event or details about the presentation, they will get timely updates about the event. So suppose if since they have opted for the email notification, they will get a message kind of like, thank you, your ColdFusion 20 Summit 2025 registration form was successfully submitted. Suppose you have submitted as presentation application. So suppose you want to present a topic in the CF Summit, you have opted for that, and then after that, once if you get selected in the CF Summit to present it, then event manager can select that option and then send a notification that you get selected for the event and you can present it. So let's go back to the app. Hope you can see the screen. So this is a sample app have created CF 2025 registration demo app, where you can fill the details. Like suppose I fill the details as Mukesh, Kumar, and the phone number. Suppose I want to discuss about the cloud session part, and if I provide a abstract integration vendor, you can choose the profile image as well as, so for take example profile image I put. And if you are interested in speaker position and you want to present on that, and then if you want to opt for the email or phone number, you can opt for that and you do a registration. So these details, since I get that registration successful, thank you for the details. Your detail has been saved. Where it's saved into AWS S3. And since they have opt for that, they will get a email notification or SMS notifications, and once they click that, they will subscribe to the event. Once you go to the event page, and event manager, they will have access to the admin page, so they will see that uh, who has subscribed, means registered for the event, so they can get the details like this: speaker position, yes, topic name, and this all we are uh, fetching from the AWS DynamoDB. And if you want to send an email notification or some sort of message to the uh, uh, customer or user, you can send and select it and send the email message. So they, as I showed in the showed in the presentation slides, like first they get this kind of notification. Once you confirm the subscription, you will get a timely event notification part. And the event manager, if you want to send some sort of event, then they can utilize the AWS SNS as a service to publish any sort of message and send to a particular person or broadcast to all person. And even if you want to see in, so this these details will be also, just give me a minute, it will be stored in the data the cloud vendors. So I'll show you. So if you see in DynamoDB, let me show in the table structures. So this is a the collections the table I have created. And if you want to see the details, so the details are stored in this one. You can see email created, is a speaker name details, if you want to notify through the email or phone number, this one. And if you seeing the SNS one, how I configured it. So if you want to go to topic, ColdFusion Summit 25. So see, previously have subscribed to the event, so you can provide the endpoints how you want to subscribe, to the phone number or through the email ID or through the other endpoints. You can define that. And S3, if you are seeing that as a service, so if you see, so I have uploaded few of the images, so it got stored over there, and it can, in the app you can utilize these services to load the images from here and get reference for the future part. And yeah, and the queue, I think I show that. Oh, I think I might have created in a different zone. Let me check. Minute, okay, sorry, just we can see in the code also where I have created the queue, in which zone. See submit. Okay, I will share that. I think it's stored in the application CFC. It contains a secret key I can't show right now. So, but it is it it will be in one of the zones it has created. So Coming back to the slides, so uh, yeah, so if you see the if you see the architecture diagram, the sample app have created like this. You can utilize, you can have some sort of CDN here, and you can refresh the static image to load in the app itself. You can uh, mis enhance this application also with that. Okay. So yeah, coming to the best practices, basically best practices will be you should not hard code the credentials. We should store in the some sort of environment variables, and you always do some sort of doing the error handling with a try catch, so that you will also get to know that is the issue in the ColdFusion application on or in the cloud services, and you get more details like why it's not working or not. And then as well as like for the you always do a monitoring purpose, so that you will also get a details like about the pay usage and the logs part. And since and you should provide some sort of policy over the whatever services you are using, so that it should not be hackable or prone to the attack. And always refer that coefficient docs as well as like the provider SDK docs. So the basic takeaway of the session will be the since we got to know about the basic understanding of the cloud services part, and most and the AWS cloud services, we mainly focused on the storage, messaging and notification part with the NoSQL databases. So and how can easily integrate and get the unified object and connect to the individual services and leverage the service to build the applications. And you can refer these resources, and if you have some sort of doubt or if you have some sort of issue, you can contact to the support team. Uh, you can see the community also, refer the community. So this is a quiz. This is a faster finger first like kind of thing. You need to answer that for the price. Which custom helper function in a cold fusion application is typically used to encapsulate cloud service setup and return and initialize the client for the services like AWS S3, DynamoDB, or GCP storage? So there are four options like create cloud client, get service instance, get cloud services, init cloud provider. So mm, I'm not sure.
I
Let
think
me
Dave
check.
has answered, and he has written C as the option.
Yeah, C is the correct answer. Congrats,
Great.
Dev.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have any Q&A, let me know in the chat. I will help. I'll answer the questions. Let me stop sharing. Dave, for your speed in comparison, where it is. I think for the speed in comparison, I was referring to the cloud services part, and in the documentation, their documentation. So the speed comparison I was talking of in terms of the cloud services. Tejas question: are we going to discuss the serverless function with the S3 cloud vendors and CF functionality available? Uh, for I think the topic related to that means whatever the services we do support with the cloud. So the three cloud vendors, storage means this topic was mainly focused on the storage part, notification, databases, and the queuing purpose. So you can connect. You can also configure that serverless functions. If you have some sort of doubt or something query related to the how to configure and connect to the cloud service with ColdFusion, you can connect to the drop an email to support team. They will reach out to us and will give direction. Thank you. Thanks for the session, for attending the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you, everyone.